Good evening, everyone. Let's start this evening with being nostalgic. Asha Parekh, the charisma which ruled the Indian film industry for more than 2 decades, beginning from the year 1959, is a woman of many shades with a spark. A versatile actress, a graceful dancer, a successful distributor, and producer and director of TV serials. Born on 2nd October 1942, Ashaji started her career as a child artist under the screen name Baby Asha Parekh. At the age of 10, she acted in the film Ma, directed by the veteran director Bimal Roy. Film producer Subodh Mukherjee and writer-director Nasir Hussain cast her in the lead role opposite Shammi Kapoor in the film Dil De Ke Dekho. The film became a hit and Ashaji became a huge star overnight. This was in the year 1959. We're going to restart the AV because there was some technical issue. So please don't mind and enjoy it again. Asha Parekh, the charisma which ruled the Indian film industry for more than 2 decades, beginning from the year 1959, is a woman of many shades with a spark. A versatile actress, a graceful dancer, a successful distributor, and producer and director of TV serials. Born on 2nd October 1942, Ashaji started her career as a child artist under the screen name Baby Asha Parekh. At the age of 10, she acted in the film Ma, directed by the veteran director Bimal Roy. Film producer Subodh Mukherjee and writer-director Nasir Hussain cast her in the lead role opposite Shammi Kapoor in the film Dil De Ke Dekho. The film became a hit and Ashaji became a huge star overnight. This was in the year 1959.
I enjoyed working with all these directors. It's very difficult to pinpoint any one of them, but I enjoyed working with Mr. Vijayanand.
Her film Teesri Manzil, under the flagship of film director Vijay Anand in 1966, is an immortal piece for all generations of the audience.
Fabulous. And again, Shaktida had been wanting to work with me, and he had offered me one or two films before Katipatan, but somehow we couldn't work together. Then I was seeing Aradhana at Famous Studios. He had kept a special trial for me, and I went to see the film. After I came out, he gave me Katipatan, which was written by Gulshan Nanda. The book, he gave it to me, and he said, read this, and if you agree, let's work together. And that's how I started working in Katipatan. Well, any award is lovely and it makes you very happy because people have appreciated you.
Social work has always been Ashaji's inner satisfaction, which she has inherited from her mother. Ashaji is the trustee of the BCJ General Hospital and its Asha Parekh Research Center, which is in Santa Cruz, Mumbai. The year 2017 is another milestone in Ashaji's life. She has opened up all the pages of her life before us. She has released her autobiography, The Hit Girl. It is co-authored by veteran journalist and film critic Khalid Mohamed. We are truly honored to have the hit girl Asha Parekh ji at PILF this year. A huge and warm welcome to you, ma'am. Please. Ma'am, can you please come on the stage? And with her, we also have Mr. Khalid Mohamed and Mr. Ajay Mago. We request you to please be seated on the stage with Asha ji. Ms. Manjuri Prabhu will be felicitating Ms. Parekh now. With a round of applause, guys.
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed, thank you for being here, and Mr. Mago, thank you. Okay. So Mr. Khalid Mohamed, during his stint as film critic and media editor of the Times of India and Filmfare editor, Khalid Mohamed would frequently interview Asha Parekh, queen of the marquee, who had captured the public imagination right from the black and white movies to the colorful holiday mood entertainers. A single question: so why haven't you attempted an autobiography yet? Led to Asha Parekh, the hit girl, packed with rare pictures, memorabilia, and candid speak. Also joining in the conversation is Ajay Mago. Armed with an MBA from UCLA, he is a publisher of Om Books. He started the publishing division of the retail arm of Om Books and is also responsible for the international growth of his group. May I please request you to start without a further delay?
Mr. Mago, who's been a publisher and a friend, he's going to do all the dirty work today.
Oh, no.
No, I don't have to interview. I have to listen and
Yeah,
nod.
we all have to
and,
listen.
So he's going to ask the questions. Actually, both Asha ji and I prepared mammoth speeches, but we were told to keep not the format. So Mr. Ajay, as usual, will lead us now.
Oh, good evening, everyone. No, actually, I would like to announce as well, just a couple of weeks back, the book also got the second best book award by the Federation of Indian Publishing. Yeah, we're very pleased to have that. Yeah. So what do you think about this award? Your first book award.
Great. The book looks nice. I do not know whether you people feel so or not. Have you seen the book? Like the book?
Hands
Have
up.
you bought the book?
How
How many of you have bought the book?
Okay.
He's got it.
Very few. Okay.
2.
It's available in all the bookshops. Okay.
Yeah, they're all for sale. And Asha ji as well, I'm sure she's going to sign some copies as well after the session.
Sure.
So feel free to please buy the book. It's available outside. Yeah, so please. Yeah.
What do you want me to
Yeah,
say?
so it's basically, I would like to ask the very first question, which is, few would know that your mother was a Bora Muslim and your father is a Vaishnava Gujarati. How did they get together in a period fraught with communal turmoil?
I have a distinct attachment to Pune. I love Pune. The reason being, खरं सांगते, खोटं नाही बोलत. You see, my father was in love with my mother. My mother was in the Ferguson College. And my father used to come on the weekends to meet my mother. And he proposed marriage to her in Pune. If it had not accumulated into a marriage, I would not be sitting here today.
Okay, but I think the question is, was there any problem with the communal differences?
Yes, there was. There was a lot of commotion. My mother was beaten up, and they were told that they should not be getting married. And it was Daddy's friend, Mr. Ayub, who got them married. They had a registered marriage, and then they celebrated at Purohit Hotel. So that's it. There was a lot of turmoil. It was something unbelievable in the 1940s. You can understand what that must be at that time. It was very difficult. It was not an easy thing to happen. And they were totally cut off from their families. They went through very hard times. Daddy was working in a chemist shop in spite of having a very lucrative shop in CP Tank. He had to take a job in a chemist shop, and Mama was giving tuitions to children, and then they were shifted to Delhi for about a year or two, and that's how life went on.
So would you say that your secularism is inborn because of your parents? How much of a practicing Hindu and a Muslim are you, if I may ask?
Well, I do celebrate Diwali, I do celebrate Eid, but the thing is that my mother, after getting married to my father, she became a total Hindu, and it was surprising because she knew more about Hinduism than a Hindu would know. So she knew everything. I mean, the way she would go about it. It was, slowly the family took to her. I mean, my father's relatives, they all took to her because of her becoming a total Hindu. So it wasn't, that I'm not a vegetarian because, I used to go and eat to my granny's place. So it was there, I would be celebrating Eid, come back here to celebrate Diwali. So I was having best of both the worlds.
Today, how would you find secularism being defined in the movies you see, in our culture, in our papers? It is word which is being heard a lot, but do you think we have the spirit of secularism in us?
Yes, definitely, I think so. Now there's not a problem if a Hindu girl is marrying a Muslim. There are pockets where there is this problem is still there. There, I wouldn't say it's totally gone away, but as from the urban side, I think people are taking it to it.
Did your grandparents, the Muslim grandparents and the Hindu grandparents, thaw, as it were, when you were born, when a grandchild was born?
No, it did not thaw at that time. It took a long time to get everything done. But my mother's mother, my granny, was very happy when she came to know that I was born, and she sent my aunt to come and see me, and said that she should be named from our side Zulekha.
All right. So, do you like the name Zulekha?
Yes, I like both the names.
Okay, let me ask you a little impertinent question, after which you will carry on with the dirty job. Would you have married a Muslim?
It depends. I mean, yes, I didn't find it anything wrong in getting married to a Muslim or for that matter, anybody as such.
So, why didn't you?
Well, that you read in the book. I can't tell you everything right now, Khalid. Leave something for the book.
Buy the book.
Okay, this is an endorsement, but back to objective questions from Mr. Mago.
Okay. So as a child, you were deeply interested in dancing and acting. Premnath, Beena Rai, and Bimal Roy played important roles in recognizing your talent. Could you elaborate on that, please?
Well, when I was tiny, whenever there was music being played, I used to dance. And there was a neighbor of ours, Mr. Sudarshan ji, who was a chartered accountant of Premnath ji and Beena Roy and Madhubala and Nimmi, and he was a chartered accountant to a lot of film stars. So it happened so that I used to dance, and Sudarshan ji one day called me, and I went to his house and he said, please dance. And I started dancing. And Premnath ji saw my dance and he was terribly enamored by it, and he said, well, she's a very good dancer. So he brought Madhubala, he brought Nimmi, he brought Beena Rai. Come and see this girl dancing. So that's how I used to be dancing, but I used to dance on record dances, just like that. Then came a time when there was a function in the school, and they wanted certain stars to come and grace the occasion. So my mother said, I know Premnath ji, I can go and talk to him. Premnath ji was a very big star at that time. So we went to Premnath ji. He said, if Asha dances, I will definitely come. My mother said, she dances on records and this is a school function. I can't allow her to dance. It's not possible. He says, no, if she's going to dance, then I'm going to come. So my mother came back and told the principal that Premnath ji wants her to dance. He said, yes, there's no objection as such. So, but she said, my God, dancing on a record is not possible. So she took me to late Mohanlal Pandey, who was a Kathak teacher, and told him that in 7 days you have to make this girl dance on the stage. He said, I'll try. And as luck would have it, or whatever you may say, I was put on stage when I was about 9 years old, and in 7 days I was dancing on the stage. Unfortunately, on that day, my mother didn't know how to wrap a sari, so she had wrapped a sari in that stage where I went to perform. Everyone said she's dancing beautifully, but how fat she is. They didn't realize that there was so much of sari put around me. So that's how, life started, and I used to perform on the stage after that. And late Bimal Roy saw me dancing on the stage in one of the shows, and he said, call this girl, I want to meet her. So I was brought to Bimal Roy, and Bimal Roy just said, will you act in a film? I was too tiny. I said, yes, yes. I just said yes, yes, and that's how I got into Ma.
Okay, do you think you could dance to today's film music?
No, not at all.
Why
Why
not?
not?
Not at all.
Rahman's music.
Rahman's music, it's not music as such. What I'm trying to say, the dances of today are no dances, if you ask me. I mean, it's more of acrobats and more of dance. And even what the dance they do, it's actually the Western culture has come in. Our dances have gone. I feel very sad about it that we have such beautiful dances, such different classical dances we have, the folk dances which we have. It's all gone. Where is it? I mean, people don't want to see it. It's very sad. I mean, I really regret about it.
Do you have any ideas how we can get these dances back again?
I wish we could. I wish we could.
How far? I mean, I've seen in your dances you use your eyes very expressively. How important are eyes? Are today's heroines and dancers using eyes?
See the way the dances are shot these days, little shots are taken. There's not much of a, static close-ups or that.
No,
It's all
no long
moving,
held
moving.
shots.
Yeah.
So you learned classical dance. So
Yes.
did you learn how to express with your eyes?
Yes, definitely. Eyes play a very important part in all our classical dances, whether it's Bharatanatyam, whether it's Kathakali or Kathak or Odissi or Kuchipudi, or you take any dance form as such. Even in the folk dances, you have these expressions which are
Could
there.
you express happiness about being in Pune right now?
My God. You're testing me.
No, the video camera's on, so just look happy.
I'm looking happy. Aren't I looking happy?
Okay. What about angry with me?
I am angry. Very angry.
Okay. Mr. Mago
So,
again.
Khalid ji, I would like to ask you as well. When and how you got the idea of this particular biography? Like, was it your idea or was it Asha ji's idea?
No, Asha ji keeps all her ideas to herself, and she can be quite reclusive. And I hadn't met her for 10 years. Then I wrote a piece on Sadhna ji when she'd gone away. So I got a call from Asha ji, and she shouted at me for writing something or the other, which I do. So anyway, I came out with lunch. I mean, she said, okay, we'll talk over it with lunch. So I got lunch, and so I had just finished a project. So I said, why don't you do an autobiography? So she said, no one has asked me. So I said, I am. And so there we were. And to be honest, firstly, we were wondering whether to give it to a publisher or not, whether we should self-publish, because there's too much intervention sometimes, and too many play up the gossip and play up the muck and that kind, and we didn't want to go down that route. Then Mr. Mago was in Bombay on a rainy day looking for a gizmo for his son, and I made them meet, and he said yes, and they came to some agreement, and we were on. And the publishing, the designing, and for which it got the award, I may say, took some doing. And Mr. Mago also suggested a lot of things. I suggested many things, and of course the team did all the work. And so designing was the major problem of the book, because it had to look good, it had to go with the spirit of the swinging 60s, plus photographs were very difficult to access, and like you might have seen in the AV, for want of accessible material, there's a lot of Wikipedia, small grainy thing there. So we went through her attic, her basement, whatever, and cousin helped us out, so I think that's why the book looks good, and I may say it looks better than what I've written, maybe. I don't know. That's for you to judge.
But how do you feel as an experience of the whole journey now? The book is out, it's a few months now, and we also got an award for the book. So as an author, as a co-author, what do you think? Like,
Me?
yeah.
Okay. You want a long or a short one?
Your choice.
Okay.
It's your day.
Medium. It's not very difficult to write a biography of someone else, because you're getting all the thought processes, incidents, views. You're just a recorder, you're a reporter. At sometimes you do end up fighting because I must have fought 2-3 times, and because she wasn't saying enough and I was pounding the table. So sometimes you have to extract material out. But she was not a difficult person. She wasn't a diplomatic person. But for the first 2 or 3 sessions, yes, it was like, could have looked like a PR job or a hagiography. So anyway, to come back to my point, I've been writing a novel, my great hope and ambition to write an Indian novel for the last 5 years, and I can't proceed. But writing a biography was easy. It was like smoothness, and the personality had helped. Earlier, I had done a biography of Mr. Amitabh Bachchan called To Be or Not to Be, which was very professional, and we'd be traveling in Paris, and he'd be very, very professional. But here I got material which was more to the heart and more disclosures, and not very, very conscious of the image which would come through. So biography writing is easy, I think, especially if you have a subject of interest. But if you tell me to write a biography of somebody I can't relate to, it would be very, very difficult. And yes, after 3 sessions, I think we'd end up stabbing each other. So here we didn't. We had a few fights, and that's it. It went smoothly. It took about a year, and I got a lot of meals. Very, very seldom non-veg, more often veg. And so you can smell that in the text. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so Asha ji, back to you now. There was no looking back after Dil De Ke Dekho. The hit girl of the 60s had arrived. How and why did that film turn out to be a game changer?
Which
Dil De Ke
film?
Dekho.
Dil De Ke Dekho. Well, Dil De Ke Dekho, the day it got released, it was a hit. So it became a Silver Jubilee film, and immediately I was being signed by lots of producers. But I was choosy. I used to hear the script. I would
You got
see
pinched at the premiere, remember? That's in the book.
that's in the book.
So the fan adulation began there.
Yes,
Yeah.
it
Okay,
was
sorry to interrupt.
frightening. It was frightening because I was being pushed and pinched, and I don't know what all was happening. But anyhow, after Dil De Ke Dekho, I started working for Gemini. I did 2 films for S.S. Vasan, who was a mogul of the Madras film industry. And that's how work started. Pictures were made. I was lucky the films did very well. I had very good music, so naturally things were rosy.
So you worked with all the leading heroes of the 60s and the 70s. Rajesh Khanna, Jitendra, Shami Kapoor, Rajendra Kumar, Joy Mukherjee, Dharmendra, Sunil Dutt, Manoj Kumar. So what are your sweet memories? Any particular memory you have which you'd like to share with the public here?
Oh. Well, I enjoyed working with all my co-stars. There was never a misunderstanding or a fight with anybody as such. But I enjoyed working with Mr. Shami Kapoor the most because he was my first hero, and he taught me a lot, and there was a lot of rapport between us. So it was fun working with him.
And did he mind when you called him Chacha, uncle?
No, he didn't, because actually, as I said, that it was late Geeta Bali who went on telling Shamiji that let's adopt her. So that's how, I started calling him Chacha and Chachi. So he had no objection. On the contrary, he was very happy. And he used to guard me, used to look after me. If there was something, bad happening, he would immediately say, come along, go from here, go from here. He wouldn't like anything bad around me, So he really looked after me, and he really cared for me. I remember there was a time when I just said that I'd been to see some lady, and that lady was a lesbian. I'm sorry to say that, but he was
I
so
didn't get that.
angry. He jumped out of his seat and he said, "Next time you go there, I'll break your legs. Don't you dare ever go there." That way he was very caring. He used to look after me. So that's one thing. I mean, he really looked after me as a chacha.
What's wrong with lesbianism?
There's nothing wrong with lesbians, but at that time, yes, there was. People didn't accept lesbianism.
Okay. Right. Now, one of the instances and big regrets in your life is missing out working with Dilip Kumar, and it became a bit of a controversy because some statement was ascribed to you. So would you like to clarify it again and tell us about your Dilip Kumar miss?
Well, I was supposed to work with him in Zabardast. We shot for about 3-4 days and the film was scrapped. But the thing was that I went to a festival, Goa International Festival was there, and there was a press conference going on. I just said that I don't work with the person with whom I do not have a rapport. I don't work with a person who's friendly. So he was the only one with whom I had not worked. So he just picked it up and he said, she says she didn't want to work with Dilip Kumar. And that created such a big controversy. I had to call up Saira and tell her, that I've been dying to work with your husband and this has been coming in the press, so please don't take it amiss, And she says, no, I know what it is, these press people, they just write whatever they want to. So that's how the controversy was there, and I had to speak about it and tell them that no, there wasn't anything of that sort. I was dying to work with Dilip Kumar, but unfortunately, he was the only actor with whom I could not work. So I feel really sorry even today.
Beat any party at the center. You got the Padma Shri quite a while ago, and let's say artists who have not achieved as much as you have got the Padma Bhushan. Do you feel young about that or not?
No, when the government wants to give it, they'll give it. If they don't want to give it, it's perfectly all right.
Do you deserve it?
I don't know. It's up to the people to judge about it. I cannot say so.
All right, back to you.
Could you throw some light, particularly on Satyajit Ray, offering with a female lead in Kanchenjunga?
That was again, I was shooting in Darjeeling, and somebody had taken a picture of mine and kept it in his photo studio. And Mr. Satyajit Ray was just having a walk there, and he saw this picture and he said, "This is the girl I want to cast her in my film." And I was coming back to Bombay, and he came down to Bombay and met me. But unfortunately, I couldn't do the film because he wanted a chunk of 1 month dates, and I couldn't give them because I was working 15 days in Madras and 15 days in Bombay. So there were no dates left to give him, so I couldn't do the film. I was very disappointed about it, but couldn't be helped.
We are in the city of the Film and Television Institute of India. Do you regret not having studied acting at such an institute, if not the FTII itself?
Yes, definitely. I wish I could have come to FTII and studied there, sat under the wisdom tree, thought about some wisdom coming into me. I do not know whether I have the wisdom or not, but yes, I definitely miss the FTII. I wish I could have come here. FTII came later. I mean, I was already a heroine when FTII came into being, and I was, whatever acting I learnt it in front of the camera.
But Filmalia Studio, which discovered
Yes.
you, also had a school of acting.
They did have an acting school, but at that time I used to feel acting cannot be learned. It should be from inside. You should have it in you to perform. And as I was a stage performer, I didn't find it very difficult going onto the screen. But yes, it does help. FTII does help because they've brought out such good artists, technicians into the film industry.
Senior artists and women-centric roles are being, become more relatively more seen and heard today. So, why haven't you ever returned to acting? Do you not have a proper agent? Is it the unwillingness to do so, or why?
Well, I was doing certain, you know, bhabhi or sisters roles, but the way the film was being made, I lost interest in it. I was working in a film, and the hero, was always late to come on the set. So I remember one day he came.
Who's this?
I don't want to name him.
I think it may be Govinda, if I'm not right.
I'll
Can I
keep you
guess?
guessing.
Okay.
So it happened so that at 9:30 was the call sheet. I reached the studio at 9:30, and this man comes at 6:30 in the evening to shoot. I said, I'm not interested in working in this sort of a atmosphere, and that's when I gave up working in films.
But today the atmosphere has changed with corporate.
It has changed a lot now. But I don't know, I feel I've done enough. I want to take life easy now. I want to enjoy life.
By going to festivals.
By going to festivals, yeah, definitely. And meeting people.
Yeah. So Nasir Hussain Saab became a mentor. Tell us something about your association with him.
Well, he was the first director who gave me the break in Dil De Ke Dekho. After that, he started his company. He again signed me for the film Jab Pyar Kisi Se Hota Hai. And that association went on. Then there was a time when Teesri Manzil and Baharon Ke Sapne were being shot together. And Mr. Gulshan Rai was the distributor of the film, Bombay distributor. And he was told to take both the films. So one day he came and he said, I don't want to take Baharon Ke Sapne, but I'll take Teesri Manzil. So he says, no, if you want to take, you take both the films, or you don't take both the films. And one fine day, Mr. Nasir Hussain came to my house and he said, let's start a distribution office. And that's how we started a distribution office in Bombay. We used to distribute in Maharashtra and Gujarat films. We distributed about 21 films in that distribution office. It was called Movie Gems. And we distributed quite a lot of films. Our first film was Saraswati Chandra, which we distributed.
So now,
I think Mr. Mago wants to refer to the part of the book where you said, yes, you are in love with your mentor and could have married, but he was already married. I think he's referring to that, and
Yes.
you took him somewhere else.
Yes. Well, I was in love. I wouldn't deny it. But I couldn't get married, so it's fine.
Was it that you didn't want to be a second woman?
Yes, definitely not.
But on the screen you played a second woman quite beautifully in Main Tulsi.
Real life and real life, there's a lot of difference. It's not the same.
Can be similar also, no?
No, it can't be.
sometimes it does.
Sorry?
Sometimes.
Yes, sometimes. Sometimes it does happen.
Okay. So you have to really tell us the truth now. You were a fashion icon and trendsetter. What was your equation with other heroines of that time? Really tell us the
We
truth.
did not have any jealousies as such. The only jealousy was a professional jealousy which we had. And because everyone was slotted into one, groups. So it was like Sadhna would be doing this film, Saira Banu was be doing that film, Vaida Rahman will be doing the other films. So it was just, properly distributed. So we didn't have any cat fights, I would say, because we were friendly. We knew our work. We were doing whatever jobs were given to us. We picked up our own films. So it was not that I had taken somebody's film. It did happen that there were films where I refused and somebody else took it, and somebody refused and I took the film. That always happens. But we were not having jealousies as such. Personal jealousies, I would say.
Then you've spoken about it in the book, so then I can refer to it again now. Simi Garewal and you didn't exactly have a great rapport. Neither on Do Badan, neither did Aruna Irani and you on Karwa.
This was all cooked up. You know, see, I don't realize.
There in the book, right?
Sorry?
No, it's right. There in the book, like
Yes,
Simi gave an interview.
Simi gave an interview and then comes back and says, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. The same thing Aruna Irani did, went to the press and said, I cut her work. I didn't have the time to breathe. The reason being I was working practically every day in a month. And where was the time to go and sit in the editing room and get somebody's work cut? So it was absolutely out of question. After that interview, Aruna Irani came and said, I'm sorry, these people have written it, but I don't have anything against you. And I'm still friends with Aruna Irani. It's not that I'm not friends with her.
Do you find the media in your time, like say the magazines then, being quite different to what's happening today on the net? And
Yeah, right now, I'm sorry to say the media is
tell me.
terrible.
Why?
I'm sorry.
Hello. I'm from the media.
Why? Because sometimes they cook up stories, they don't have stories, so they cook up stories. They sometimes hurt people because they become
Even
too
then,
personal. No, at that time we didn't have the sort of press which we have now. I mean, press was a friend of ours, and I had very few journalists who were very close to me. And I mean, I could share certain things with them, but they knew where to cut the line.
But
What to
can
be
a
printed,
jour-
what not to be printed.
But can a journalist and a star be friends, really?
Khalid, aren't we friends? Are we enemies?
Yeah,
what he
but that doesn't prevent me from, say, criticizing your performance in some film.
That's
like
perfectly all right. You criticizing my, I mean, my acting, it's perfectly all right. It's my profession, and I mean, you are doing your work. That you didn't like me in the film, it's perfectly all right. But you don't get personal.
So, what piece of gossip hurt you ever?
I think there was a time when some press wrote that I was on drugs. I was at that time, you know, we never heard people being on drugs, and drugs were not in vogue in those days. But then somebody did write that I was on drugs, and it did hurt me.
Maybe they meant herbal pills or something.
I don't know what he meant, but he said drugs.
So when did you actually decide to foray into Gujarati films? How did the experience compare with your experience in Bollywood or Indian cinema rather?
I was doing Hindi films. I studied in a Parsi school, so my Gujarati was atrocious. Even right now it is atrocious. I can't speak much of Gujarati. But I feel ashamed of myself to say this, that I cannot speak much of Gujarati. I do speak Gujarati, but that's the, you know, usual Gujarati which normal people talk, not the high-fly Gujarati. So Mr. Barkat Virani was the producer who came one day and said that he would want me to work in a Gujarati film. And Mom thought that, yes, why not? Why shouldn't you work? And there was a real case which had taken place in Baroda about a wife being burnt live. So Mom liked the subject, I liked the subject, and I started working in the Gujarati film. But it was very tough for me, the reason being Gujarati was, as I said, I was learning Urdu, I was talking in Hindi. So all the time we are talking in Hindi or not talking in Gujarati. So like pool, Gujarati we would say pool. And I would, fool, not pool, fool. And I would say pool. So that where the assistant director would come and say, Madam, it is pool. It's not fool, you know, you have to say fool. I said, okay. And there were quite a lot of words which I could not pronounce it correctly. And every time, you know, I was being checked that be sure about your pronunciation. So it was a little tough for me.
You know Marathi fluently, so how come no Marathi film?
Marathi, I was born and brought up in Bombay, so naturally I have learnt a little bit of Marathi. I don't speak too much of Marathi, but I like Marathi.
Okay, but no Marathi films. Have you seen
I
any?
see a lot of Marathi films, but no, I've not worked in a Marathi film.
Okay. You have battled depression and loneliness and emerged victorious. You also deep friendships that have helped you tide over such times. Would you like to say something about that phase of your life?
I lost my mother in 1990. I lost my father in 2003. Being the only child, I was totally alone. And I don't know, after my father's death, after about 6 months, I suddenly felt very lonely. I was very depressed, and anxiety crept in, and it was a very bad time for me. My doctor friends, they realized what I was going through, so they brought a psychiatrist, and I was told to be on some pills which got me out of this depression and anxiety, and I felt better.
It took you a long time for this, or just
It took me about 6 months to get out of it, but it was a bad time.
yeah.
Does this ever recur?
It doesn't recur, but you have to be, taking tablets for it. You have to be with the tablets, otherwise it can recur. I'm trying to get out of it.
Is it tough living alone? Alone meaning like looking after whole household, running the kitchen, and being all there alone.
It is tough. I mean, it was not easy because I was pampered, being the only child.
No, I'm talking about today.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say, that I was pampered, I was looked after. So suddenly there was a void, and I had to learn everything, how to run the kitchen, how to look after the house, to look into the accounts, and it was tough. But yes, I got through it.
If there is a message you would like to give the present generation out here of heroes and heroines in Bollywood, and to all of us about life and living, what would that be?
Well, live your life as it is. Be happy, be contented, and well, people wanting to get into films, it's not very easy getting into films. So think twice before getting into it, thinking about getting into the films, because it's tough. It's really tough now. In our times, it was not that tough, but with so many people coming into the line, it's become quite a big challenge for everyone. So that's what I would say, that be happy, live your life, live for today. That's what I would like to say.
And what message would you give Mr. Mago?
Mr. Mago. What should I say, Mr. Mago? I don't think so, to be very frank about it. Well, Mr. Mago has been a wonderful person.
Thank you.
He's been very helpful, and he's trying to see that the book becomes a bestseller. So all the best to Mr. Mago.
Thank you. Thank you to all of us. Yeah.
Okay.
That's about it. So any other special thing if you'd like to share, or anybody has any questions from the audience, so please feel free. Lots of questions.
Okay.
How much time do we have, Manjari? Okay. So the first question.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll come there.
Yeah.
Good evening. Yes, yes.
Takes me almost 45 years into my memory. I grew up in Panchgani, and you had a whole lot of shootings there. And one of our whole family has some memory of you. Your favorite hotel was Il Palazzo, and you had an Impala, which used to break down in the, Pasarani Ghat. And my brother used to push that Impala with his friends because they were in Bilimoria High School, and then you gave them biryani.
Oh, really?
So, and I remember I was in St. Joseph's, and we used to be taken for nature walks, and every time the nature walk was timed with a shooting on tableland.
Yes.
And so we've seen you umpteen times, and we've seen you in Mahabaleshwar at St. Ferns, the Ferns Hotel, where I think you did quite a few shootings. at Ferns in Mahabaleshwar. So it's been a very long journey. We've seen you so closely. We've seen you on all the celluloid. And it's nice to see you here. Welcome to Pune. You said you have great memories, but I have memories of you of Panchgani. And I think you had lots and lots of shootings in Panchgani.
Yes, you're right. Thank you.
Mr. Ram Naidu, do you have a question? Yes. No. Mr. Naidu. He's the
I see a lot of books coming on yesteryear actresses and actors of Bollywood nowadays. Is this a trend or of reliving the way it was in the past? I mean, to bring to the audience nowadays, because I think there is a disconnect now from the Bollywood what it is today to what it was Hindi film industry in the past.
So, whom is the question addressed to?
To all of you and any one of you.
Okay, maybe I can start. You know, it's very important to document all our past, all these yesteryear, heroes and heroines. It's very important for our children because our children don't know actually. So, you know, the whole cinema has been changed now, then and now. So if we don't tell them then, they won't be able to actually judge from where we actually belong. So I think it's a very important thing that we as publishers are documenting a lot of people, whether it's cinema or sports or anybody or politicians. So what do you think, Khalid?
I have a counter question. Say, suppose I was to suggest a biography of XYZ from the 1950s to a biography on Priyanka Chopra. Which one would you jump at?
Oh, okay. Actually, it's not a tough question. No, definitely Priyanka Chopra. No, but it depends.
Her achievements are not but because she connects to the youth of today.
As a publisher, it's much easier for me to sell Priyanka Chopra than the person from 1950s. But still, I would like to explore the 1950s person and try to make it in a way that today's generation read. So yeah.
Okay. Now most of the books are with co-authors and sort of on personal life, private life and all that. At the same time, there's an effort going on in analysis and all, filmmakers, like say Nasir Hussain's, a book has come out on Nasir Hussain. Now, would you as a publisher be venturesome enough to go out there and do analysis books?
100%, because look at the amount of people studying films nowadays. So they need some kind of reference material from the past, from our past, to go through it.
But so why is this trend belated? I mean, why is it all these books have started after it started in the West? People like Nasreen Muni Kabir and all of them started writing abroad. Then it became popular here. I know you published some of Kabir's books yourself, but
screenplays.
But why is Hindi cinema suddenly respectable and not chi-chi anymore? And why does it sell?
If you see Hindi cinema, or I would say Indian cinema now internationally, the way the films are being appreciated and recognized from our country, whether it's US or Germany or China. Imagine Dangal in China has done more than 2,000 crores. That's unbelievable. It's a Chinese population watching Indian movie, So the trend has changed, and again, we Indians, we always learn from the West, whether it's films or whether it's books. Like our Indian authors have gone abroad and published the book, and the book became bestseller, And then we finally realized, oh, that was a bestseller, we missed it. So that's the trend, I would say.
Okay, like films, now books also depend on promotional campaigns and publicity. How important is campaign and publicity for you? For instance, the book launch of Asha Ji was done by Salman Khan and company in, her friends in Bombay. Without that kind of profile, would the book have worked as well?
Thanks to our media, when we get a big star to launch anybody, whether it's a big star or not, the kind of media we get instantly in like 5 minutes is commendable. Like when we launch a book, just like a regular fiction or non-fiction, first of all, we really have to beg the media, can you please come and attend this book launch? The first question they ask, who is the guest list? I said, this Asha Parekh ji is there. No, who else is the guest list? So that time we really, that's actually the fact. You give them 5 names, they ask you 5 more names. So, but I have no answer. I think we can ask some of the media friends here if they can answer this question. Why do we need to have a big celebrity to launch Asha Parekh's book?
Mr. Naidu,
We don't,
is
right?
that enough? Or does
Maybe
it
you have
answer
some
your question?
answer.
Yes. Is that, do you get the answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have some friends here. Priyanka can answer as well.
Yeah.
She's from the media too.
Can
Yeah.
I?
You-
Okay.
Yeah, but
No, I'm not answering. I want to ask a question.
yeah, please.
Can I ask?
So,
Okay.
Let him answer first, ma'am.
Is he answering?
He's just
Oh, he's
yeah,
answering.
yeah.
Finding him out.
Thanks.
it just fortunately happens to be I'm also an author, and one of the books was published by Skira Rizzoli, which I was very much part of it, and we released it in Pune. And it's not about an actor, it's not about media. I think it's also the kind of subject that we have. Sometimes it does draw attention of the people, and we can't single out that media is the only channel that a book will reach that epitome of being the best book.
But there's a fast way,
Well, why do we want a fast way? Book is long life, right?
Yeah, but then will you, as an author, wait for 5 years to sell 1,000 copies?
No.
Yeah, but with media help and support, we can, in few days perhaps.
The first book that I published, it was rejected by Penguin first, the manuscript, but it made it to the top 10 bestsellers list for 18 weeks.
Congratulations.
The subject matters a lot.
So
many
what is this
times.
book done by Rizzoli?
It's a book on architecture.
Okay.
Can we get back?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
can we
please,
get
yeah,
back to this point? See, I'm very curious since long time since I've heard about the hit girl. Asha ji, we are so much fans of you because for your performance and what you are. I don't know the image what you are in real life. Let me tell you that since my childhood, I never wanted to meet her. The reason is I'm treasuring her image, and in case if I meet her, if that is broken, so I did not want to meet her. But I feel that when I saw the cover of your book, I felt lost. That Asha Parekh which was in my memory, and you are selling every image of yours on the name of Asha Parekh, which is in the minds and hearts of the audience. But the book cover is something new. I don't think so that it is I can associate with it. I'm feeling that this is not Asha Parekh, this is somebody else. So can you just tell me what made you select a cover which is you're not yourself, what we think? we are?
Okay, I'm guilty of that. He was against it, but
Yeah, I'm with you.
Thank you.
But I still think it works because it got, at least from her circle of friends, my circle of friends got a lot of, and some reviews which were there praised the cover the most. So, pasand apni apni. So, and that was an off thing. We were shooting, there's a very brilliant photographer called Suresh Natarajan. We were trying all the saris, everything. But then he saw my polo neck and he said, give it to her. And so that was off the cuff. And he said he wanted her to look like the president of US, which at that time could have been Harry. But why should images be retained and mythicized? Why not a different image?
Can I speak?
Yeah, sure.
See, the reason is when a personality like her comes out, she's already having an image, she's carved it. It's like an Ajanta Ellora carved into your minds. How can I say I'm focusing in a Hollywood style?
But
It's going against. I will not accept a book like this. I will. Please do
All
something.
right.
I want her. I
No,
want
but
her.
I don't know where Khajura and all fits in here, Ajanta,
Yes.
Ellora, whatever. But I think that's a bit of an old-fashioned notion, which has its appeal also. But I think we should be allowed to break images.
We've had a very good feedback actually when the picture came. Mr. Mago was totally against it, but we showed the picture to a lot of people, and they said, this is something new, you know. So that's how the front page came, and lots of people have liked the picture. You may have not liked it,
Yeah,
but
we have
lots
a lot
of people have
love
liked
this cover.
it.
Yeah. Okay, who's next? Yeah, this gentleman there. Sir?
Should I have the chair?
Yeah, Usman. Yeah. No.
Asha ji, you have done so many roles, so many roles. I mean, you are an icon. But do you feel any dream role that you would like to do or you would have liked to do?
Yes, I would have loved to do Mother India. I really would have loved to play that role.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No.
Here, please.
Good evening, Asha ji. I think with a large number of Indian families, memories and nostalgia become a very important part of things. And I think for us, Bollywood has a large role to play in those memories and nostalgia. It's passed down, if you're watching a film, you know, parents start with their anecdotes, and that's passed on, you know, what they were doing at that time and all of that. I just wanted to know how, what sort of relationship you share with some of these films, if and when you come across them on television or whatever. Is it sweet? Is it bittersweet? Is it something you don't really, is not something you're really connected with right now? Well, what really is your relationship with these beautiful films that you've done over the years?
Oh my God. Well, I do see these films. I sometimes feel, oh my God, is that me? And sometimes I feel, oh, wow, I must have done something good, you know. So it's nice, good memories. It's not bad memories at all. It's really good to see yourself on the screen at times.
Last two questions, if that gentleman there. And next goes to Priyanka.
Yeah, hi. It's very nice that you have a festival for encouraging writers. But I just wanted to ask if you have some input for new writers, budding, like how to write a good book or some tips or advice.
That's for you. That's for you now, finally.
Yeah, for
That's for Mr. Khalid, I think so.
any of you, all of you.
You start. We'll all go. We'll all go.
Why don't you talk to you after this thing?
No. She'll just try and say, would you encourage writers to more books?
Yes,
write more books?
definitely. It's always nice to read books, and the more writers, the better, because you get to choose what you want to read.
Okay, my personal take is, yes, I mean, if you get a publisher, that's great, and a publisher who goes with you and who can be bullied. I bullied this poor chap hell of a lot. I yell and, I don't allow a comma to be cut, or and he has a very good editor who often finds faults with me, but we come to terms. So yes, the first thing is, yes, preferably you should find a publisher, but if not, it doesn't matter. I mean, you can go publish online. There are many, many more outlets. You can blog, you can get through some way or the other, but the thing is, if you're passionate about writing, nothing should hold you back, because I think the internet is a great medium. And yeah, a book is a dream, but if it can't be realized, you can come up. I'm sure many, many authors go through rejection, go through many manuscripts, but I don't think you should stop, and don't cater to anyone except yourself.
And never go to a publisher and say that this book will sell 100,000 copies, because every author comes with 100,000 copies. I don't know from where they got that number. So it's very hard for us to explain, because they talk about the population of our country and then say like, oh, you're only going to sell 3,000? Yes, that's reality. How many bookstores do we have in this country? How many people actually read? So that's the problem. But you must write. That's important. Yeah. And write well. Yeah.
What's your name? What's your name?
Okay. So Priyanka.
Congratulations, Asha ji, Khalid and Ajay, on this wonderful book. what I wanted to ask you was that, Khalid, especially to the both of you, what is the most difficult part when you're writing an autobiography stroke biography, you know? Because, you know, there's so much, like, for a life so well lived, so rich with experiences. How do you choose, you know, because people want to know everything. And then how do you sort of choose what is it that you want to put out there for posterity? So, yes.
Well, it was like I was going on talking and Khalid was writing, and sometimes I would forget certain things, and then I would say, Khalid, I'm sorry, but in the back, you know, this is what has happened. So he'd say, why didn't you tell me? I said, I forgot about it. So that's how it was written, isn't it, Khalid?
Yeah, expand on it.
That's how we went about it. There are certain things. Well, I wanted this book to be written because people only thought that I was a film star and nothing more to me. There was a lot to me, so I wanted people to know. People didn't know that I was a distributor. People don't know that I was, for 6 years, Cine Artist Association president. I was the only lady in the Film Industry Welfare Trust. I was the first person to be the chairperson of the censor board, first lady. So these are the things I have achieved. People remember, yes, the hospital. Yes, I've been working for the hospital for the last 40 years. And my contribution has been a great contribution to the hospital because it used to work for the poor, for the middle class people. And people didn't know anything about me. They just thought that I was a glamorous heroine and nothing else. So I wanted this book to come out. I wanted people to know exactly what I am.
Thank you.
Okay, you want us to end? No, she wanted to know.
Khalid, I wanted to know your point of view also, because, you know, you are very sort of, you're very tough to please, and you're very, Asha ji, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's very particular.
Yes,
you know?
he's very particular.
Yeah, idiotically so sometimes. Yeah. So the thing is, there are certain facts known already, and there are certain cliches, and you have to go beyond that, and then to get somebody. So, you know, if you ask, how is Mera Gaon, Mera Desh? So she said, nice. I said, what's nice? So, okay, just tell me the bad things too. Then you tell me, I mean, you go through the whole gamut, but it is a bit of hitting your head on the wall at times. Sometimes it's easy. I wouldn't say Asha ji's book was like a cakewalk or something. It was like you had to be a bit of an inquisitor. And I really think it's important to, with due respect, to break certain images of being goody-goody. And, you know, I mean, that's nostalgia, as the man said. But we have to capture her as she is now and was, and see the transition. That's why we have a rather cliched chapter called Then and Now, but you will see the comparisons of what happened, what are the failures. The depression chapter was not there. It was not. It happened by chance. I mean, I saw somebody come into the house and it was a doctor. So I said, who's that? So she was cagey, but that's how you expand. You have to seize the moment from here and there. But yes, I honestly wish somewhere that, I mean, the book turned out to be expensive. It's about 800 plus. But if we had more pages, perhaps we could have dwelt more on the cinema of, say, okay, we went into Vijayan or Raj Khosla being the turning point in her life with Do Badan. But certain more discussion could have happened on the films themselves. But being such an expensive project, and I had to limit, and then some chapters would open up. As a writer, I would still say writing something original is more creatively satisfying. This, you're mirroring another personality. So it's like as told to. So you know what that means. It's basically repeating a person's thoughts and helping them arise, the thought processes, and making a person open up. So while I said Mr. Bachchan did open up in its own way, but was rather more image conscious. But well, here the image broke, and personally I'm very proud of the cover picture. You know, I really think it works. And for me, it's something very contemporary as she's today. And there are about thousands. No, hello. You see the back cover, you have her as she was, and you have her as she is. But we will not cater to somebody who only wants to retain nostalgia and wants an image. I'm sorry, a writer, an editor, and a publisher do have to have integrity of thought and a certain progressiveness in mind. However much you want to see her as she was. Okay, I'll tell you one instance. For instance, we at Film Fair, we'd go to Sadhna to ask her to take the Lifetime Achievement Award. And she wouldn't come. Why? She says, no, because people will see that my eye has gone bad. I think she has some accident and it was misshapen. So she said, no, I will not want my fans to see this and forget how I was. Which I think you cannot remain young forever. You cannot remain bubbly forever. There has to be a transition. And as you might have noticed in her personality, there has been a transition. She's the same bubbly person and she laughs, but below the breath. So she's probably laughing at what I'm saying. But I think that picture caught her right. And yes, you have to take risks. So even if the Tisri Manzil picture would have sold more, I don't care, because I think this book has done reasonably well enough, and that's what matters. Yeah. The hit girl? Yeah, what about it?
Yeah.
Oh, acha, okay.
After the next...
Yeah, questions enough, no?
Yeah. Time's up. Time's up.
Thank you, Asha ji and Mr. Mohamed and Mr. Mago. And now, as the finale, let us all enjoy and relive the very popular and lovable songs from the films of the hit girl, Miss Asha Parekh. Please bear with us for a few minutes while we make the arrangements for the singers on the stage, and be kindly seated. Thank you.